Welcome to the orientation for potential applicants to the competition for the National Center to Improve Faculty Capacity to Use Educational Technology in Special Education, Early Intervention, and Related Services Personal Preparation and Leadership Personal Preparation Programs. 84.3 or otherwise 84.327F. Funded by the Office of Special Education Programs in the Office of Special Education and Rehabilitative Services at the U.S. Department of Education. I am Celia Rosenquist, a project officer at OSEP and the competition manager for this competition. I would like to go over some general information first. First, the intent of this presentation is to provide guidance only, and the information contained in this webinar provides a general summary of the information contained in the notice. Therefore, it's very important that all prospective applicants read the entire notice, application package, and any additional relevant information. In addition, applicants are encouraged to listen to a more general webinar entitled Applying for Office of Special Education Programs Discretionary Grant for an orientation on the overall process for submitting an application. The webinar can be found at osepidealsthatwork.org, the same location that houses the link to this recording. Please be aware of application timelines. The notice was published in the Federal Register on July 1st, 2020. All applications are due on August 21st, 2020 at 11:59 and 59 seconds in the PM. Note that this is Eastern Time, and you will need to adjust the deadline time in your time zone accordingly. Note that late submissions will be ineligible and therefore not reviewed or considered for a possible award. The application package available in grants.gov contains the most comprehensive information on how to apply. In it, you will find a Dear Applicant letter from Larry Wexler, Director of OSEP's Research to Practice Division, which has important information on preparing the application. You will also find the NIA and information about the grants.gov system submission procedures. The package also contains the detailed selection criteria that will be used to judge the quality of the application, as well as general information and Word versions of all required forms. Please read the application package carefully. In this next section, I will go over the purpose of the Educational Technology, Media, and Materials for Individuals with Disabilities program, or EdTech M2 program, and the 327F priority eligible applicants and funding levels. The priorities offered under the EdTech M2 program. The purpose of the program is 1, to improve results for children with disabilities by promoting the development, demonstration, and use of technology. 2, to support educational activities designed to be of educational value in the classroom for children with disabilities. 3, provide support for captioning and video description that is appropriate for use in the classroom. And 4, provide accessible educational materials to children with disabilities in a timely manner. The purpose of the 327F priority is to A, identify and disseminate types of educational technologies that can enhance teaching and learning in educator and leader preparation programs in institutions of higher ed, and B, support learning networks for IHE faculty on using educational technologies to enhance teaching and learning in educator and leader preparation programs. Please be aware that an application that does not respond to the purposes of the priority, such as seeking funding for an organization providing tutoring services for students with disabilities, will not be reviewed or considered for funding. Different types of applicants can submit an application under this priority. Please read the section in the application package carefully of who is eligible. An application from an ineligible applicant under the priority will not be reviewed or considered for funding. Funding is recommended at $500,000 per year, and we anticipate making one award at this time. In this section, I will go over the application information, including expected project outcomes, application narrative and selection criteria, and requirements. Once again, this webinar provides a general summary of the information contained in the notice inviting applications and the application package. Please make sure to read the entire notice, application package, and any additional relevant information if you intend on applying. The three expected outcomes for the center are to increase knowledge and capacity of faculty at IHEs about the range of educational technologies that can be used for educator or leadership preparation programs, and increase capacity of faculty within and across IHEs to sustain professional learning networks related to the use of educational technologies and educator and leadership preparation programs. The information in the application narrative should address how the applicant proposes to reach these outcomes. The notice lays out how the application narrative should be divided into 5 sections which correspond to the selection criteria. These sections are significance, quality of project services, quality of the project evaluation, adequacy of resources, quality of the management plan. And once again, I'll go over each of them and point out in general terms of what the narrative should address in each section. However, please read the notice carefully since the information contained in the notice is significantly more detailed. In the significance section, the narrative should describe the potential contributions of the proposed project to increasing faculty capacity by addressing faculty needs at IHEs to identify, select, and use educational technology and its integration in their special education, early intervention, or related services, educator and leadership preparation programs. To understand how the proposed project will increase faculty capacity and address faculty needs, an applicant should present information on types of education technology that can be used in educator and leadership preparation programs, including technologies that support distance learning. Should also present information on the extent to which educator and leadership preparation programs have integrated educational technology into their courses and content. And they should also address what systematic barriers, gaps, or challenges have been identified to integrating educational technology in preparation programs. The next 3 slides relate to the quality of project services. In those sections, the narrative should address how it will ensure equal access and treatment for members of groups that have traditionally been underrepresented based on race, color, national origin, gender, age, or disability. And to meet this requirement, an applicant should identify needs of the intended recipients and ensure project services and products meet those needs. The section should also address how it will achieve its goals, objectives, and intended outcomes. To meet this requirement, an applicant should provide measurable outcomes and a logic model to achieve those outcomes. The applicant should also address how it will use a conceptual framework to develop project plans and activities. In the quality of project services section, the applicant should address how the project will be based on current literature and research on educational technology for educator and leadership preparation programs. And to meet this requirement, the applicant must describe the current research on educational technology for preparation programs, the evidence base related to its effectiveness, and the effective use of such technologies. The current literature and research on how to support IHE faculty in the use of educational technology to prepare future educators and leaders. The current literature and research on factors associated with the integration of educational technology into preparation programs and how to address those factors. How the proposed project will incorporate current literature and research in the development of a framework for IHE faculty's acquisition of competencies to use educational technologies in educator and leader preparation programs. How the proposed project will identify IHE faculty or programs that have promising approaches and practices for integrating educational technology. And how the proposed project will incorporate current literature and research in the development of a framework for increasing the capacity of IHE faculty within and across IHEs to create and sustain professional learning networks related to educational technology. In the quality of project services section, an applicant should also address how will develop products and provide services that are of high quality and sufficient intensity and duration to achieve the intended outcomes of the proposed project. And to address this requirement, the applicant must describe how it proposes to identify or develop the knowledge base related to educational technology for educator and leadership preparation programs, its effectiveness, and how to use the technologies, how it proposes to engage stakeholders in the development of a framework, its proposed approach to dissemination, and its proposed approach to supporting faculty at IHEs in implementing the frameworks for integrating technology and preparation programs and professional learning networks and sustaining professional learning networks. In addressing, the applicant should also address how it will develop products and implement services that maximize efficiency. Please note that there is much greater detail in the notice inviting applications for the quality of project services section, so please read that section carefully. In the quality of the project evaluation section, the narrative should provide an evaluation plan that describes measures of progress and implementation, measures of intended outcomes or results of the project activities, and how well the goals or objectives of the proposed project, as described in its logic model, have been met. Please note that there are a number of assurances related to evaluation an applicant must provide, and applicants should refer to the notice inviting application for specifics on how to address those. In the adequacy of resources section, the narrative should address how the project will encourage employment of people from underrepresented or underserved groups, such as people with disabilities. Key personnel have the required qualifications and expertise to carry out the project activities. How the applicant and any partners have adequate resources to carry out project activities, and whether the proposed costs are reasonable. In the quality of management plan section, the narrative should include how the project intends to ensure outcomes will be achieved on time and within budget. And to address this requirement, applicants should provide clearly defined responsibilities for key personnel, consultants, and subcontractors, and timelines and milestones for accomplishing tasks. The narrative should also include allocation of key personnel time, including contractors. Ensure that the products and services provided are of high quality, relevant, and useful to the recipient. And ensuring diversity of perspectives in project activities and products. As part of the process of making funding recommendations, external reviewers will judge the quality of the application using selection criteria for each section of the narrative. Each application can receive up to a total of 100 points. The significance section and quality of the management plan sections have a total of 15 points. Quality of project services, a total of 30 points. And the quality of the project evaluation and adequacy of resources and quality of project personnel section each have 20 points. The application package contains information on the sub-criteria within each selection criteria, and applicants are strongly encouraged to read those carefully when preparing the application narrative. In addition to the narrative, there are application requirements. First, the application must contain a logic model for the project. Personnel loading charts, timelines, and other means of illustrating the management plan are encouraged as well. The logic model and personnel loading charts should be placed in Appendix A. All other materials, such as resumes, letters of support, and supplemental application information should not be placed in Appendix A, but can be placed in other appendices. Additional requirements include a budget that should include funds for a kickoff meeting, the project director's meeting, one additional trip to a departmental meeting, and a 3+2 review meeting. Additional requirements include projects must also indicate that they will maintain an accessible website, post progress on meeting goals on the website, and assurances of supporting the transfer of resources and products, if appropriate, should also go into Appendix A. Lastly, all OSEP-funded projects must indicate that they will make positive efforts to employ and advance in employment qualified individuals with disabilities. that the project will involve individuals with disabilities or parents in planning, implementing, and evaluating the project, and the steps the project will take to ensure equitable access to and participation in its services by program beneficiaries with special needs. In this next section, we'll go over submission information, including submission tips, ineligible applications, and application tips. Please note that applications must be submitted electronically in the grants.gov system. If there are reasons why an applicant cannot submit using grants.gov, the applicant must follow the information contained in the application package for requesting to submit hard copies. Please note that requests should be made at least 2 weeks before the submission deadline. Applicants are strongly encouraged to contact me as the competition manager to discuss a possible request. Applications cannot be submitted by email, and they must be submitted prior to the deadline of 11:59 p.m. Washington, D.C. time on August 21st, 2020. We strongly encourage applicants to submit all application components and attachments as PDF, read-only, non-modifiable, in a non-modifiable format. In order to make sure that the application is submitted on time and correctly, please register as early as possible in grants.gov and start the application process. Do not wait until you have an application ready to register. Grants.gov will create a workspace for applicants to submit the pieces of the application over time. And if you're already registered in the system for award management, make sure that your registration is current. We recommend submitting early, a day or two or more in advance if possible. Should there be any problems with grants.gov system, submitting early will ensure that the deadline can still be met. Applicants should verify that their submission is okay once they submit it in grants.gov. Grants.gov will send applicants notification that the submission was on time and validated. So applicants should make sure that they receive that confirmation and not assume that the submission was okay. Please note that if for any reason an application is submitted more than once and validated more than once, the last application submitted will be considered and previous applications will be considered duplicates and therefore ineligible. Here are some additional tips for submitting an application. Pay attention to the maximum funding levels for each grant as contained in the notice. Awards will not be made for amounts higher than the published amount. Following the recommended organization, page limits, spacing, and font sizes facilitate the application review process, and applicants should strongly consider following the recommendations. PDF files make it easier for the system to put together different parts of the application into one application that reviewers can more easily read and follow. The grants.gov submission procedures and tips for applicants found in Section B of the application package can be extremely helpful for submitting the application in grants.gov. As I mentioned at the beginning of the webinar, this webinar covers highlights of what's contained in the application package. and the notice inviting applications. So once again, please review both carefully for additional information if you're submitting an application. You may also contact me by email at celia.rosenquist@ed.gov or by phone at 202-245-7373. Thank you.